Hello and welcome to Move Face Designs. In this video we're going to be tackling these hydrangea flowers, and I think it's going to be a little bit tricky. So let's show you what the pattern looks like. So here's what the pattern looks like. I think we're going to find these bits a little bit tricky, so I think I'm going to start with all of the greens first, and we'll see how we get on with that. So I forgot to mention that the actual size of the piece that I'm doing here is about 16 inches this way by 26 inches this way. So I've already started on the leaves and I've run into a problem already. The leaves on hydrangeas are mostly all different sorts of greens, but also if you look at a hydrangea leaf, you're going to find that there's quite a lot of red on them. So what I did was I cut this red bit out here and then the green bit as well, and I'll show you on the pattern. This bit here we're looking at, and you'll see that this leaf down here is also sort of like a pinky red, but what I decided to do was do it in the same fabric. Now I actually like this one. If you look at it, you can see that it's asking you to do it in different fabrics, and the same with this one here. But I thought I'd have a little experiment, and so this one is done in 2 pieces of fabric, and they are vastly different. Now I might be able to make that look a little bit more cohesive when I do some thread painting on it, but actually this one down here is a piece of fabric that changes in colour, which is perfect. And then what I did is I used some Inktense pencils to add the lighter green on it and the bits of yellow and the veins. I actually think that's more effective than this. I mean, we've still got the veins and everything on here, but I'm a little bit concerned about how it goes from one fabric into the other. Unless I can find a piece of batik fabric that has those colours in it, which I might look for in a minute, and replace it, it could still work. But failing that, I think I'm going to take that off, recut a piece of this fabric again, and then perhaps draw on the greens with the Inktense pencils, because I actually think it looks far more effective like that. I'm happy with this one. I'm happy with this one as far as we've got 2 different coloured leaves here. It might just need a little bit of shading to define one from the other. But I guess as the collage builds up, that won't be an issue. Because you're looking at it in isolation, sometimes you can see problems that aren't actually there. I'm going to see if I can sort this out, because I'm just really not happy with that one. That is quite jarring to the eye. If you've got something that you're not too sure about, then usually I say to leave that. I suppose this bit in particular here, it's not quite how I wanted to see it because of the rest of the leaves and everything that are around it. I'm going to leave that one for a second. When I did this particular one, I thought I'd leave it and I'd walk away, I'd have a break, and then I'd glance at it every time I went past just to see how I felt about it. And this is the piece that I really don't like. So I will have to do something about this right now. So I'll set about doing that, and then I'll get some more of the greens in. And if we come across any more problems, I'll come back to you. So you can see that I've done quite a bit more of the collaging. Now, I did take this piece off. I did cut another piece that was slightly larger. Obviously the green overlapped it and came down here a little bit, and then I put my green Inktense pencils, and actually I think I used a few Hydrangeas crayons as well, and then I've drawn my veins and everything on, which will help when I come to do the thread painting as well. I'm a lot happier with that leaf now. And since we've started building it up and started putting the stems and everything in, it's starting to make a little bit more sense. A few pieces of the fabric I've used Inktense pencils on just to highlight a few places or to add a little bit of shadow. Luckily, by using batiks, that helps you out a lot anyway. And I think once we come to do the thread painting, we can bring more definition to it as well. So I think that's mostly the greens. I'm not saying it's everything, but it's mostly, and it's helping me to actually see now the heads of the hydrangea and to start maybe thinking about those. We've got big leaf shape here and a bit of a leaf shape here. That is actually all shadow. And I think for the moment, I'm not going to worry about putting the shadows in, because I think that will depend on what colour I'm using for the table that the actual flowers are sitting on. Because obviously if it's a grey table that it's sitting on, then the shadows will have a slightly darker value than the table. So if I chose to have a wooden table, for instance, then obviously the shadows are going to be different. So because I haven't made my mind up of what type of table that the flowers are going to be sitting on, I will wait to do the shadow. So I think the next thing I'm going to be doing is start to concentrate on the actual flower heads. I think that's going to be quite tricky. I found quite a few dark pinks and light pinks for this particular one here, and then these ones are more purpley. So it's just a case of trying to work out what I want to do. So that's the pink flower head finished now. I did find the pink flower head quite tricky because I thought I had plenty of pinks, but it turns out actually that I needed some reds as well. But I think that's quite effective. So there's a flower bud here and one here and another one here. And then I think it gets a little bit tricky to actually see where they are. But I think once we get some thread on there, we can define things a little bit better. The overall look of it is definitely a hydrangea. So the pattern is showing that these two are purple, and actually digging through my purples, I've managed to find quite a few colours that I'm going to use here, different shades, and another one here. So actually I think I'm better prepared for my purples than I was for my pink, although I did think it would be the other way around. I'm going to crack on with those and come back to you when I've finished. That's the purple heads finished now, and I think I'm happy with them. The only criticism I would give is probably I've done them a little bit too dark, but I'm hoping the thread painting will help that situation. I think they do look like hydrangeas, especially as you've got all the foliage here to bring you to that conclusion. I used all batiks in these flower heads here, and I think that's helped bring definition and texture. It is probably a little bit more difficult to see the flower heads as we can see them here in these ones, but hopefully the thread painting will help that a little. I finished off doing the last bit of greens just to finish it off, so that is now all the flowers completed. The next stage is to move on to the table and to the shadows. I'm quite looking forward to that bit actually, because I think once we've got the shadows and everything in it, they will start to look more realistic. So let's get cracking on that. I haven't finished the background yet. I've done all the shadows, but I thought I'd tell you this because I did start to do the table, but I had totally the wrong colours in there. So it is showing you that this is a kind of a blue. The table itself actually is a wooden painted table. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw some lines on there to kind of give that effect. But yes, so I used, let's put that there for a second, this one for the blue. And actually it looked absolutely terrible. And I had the grey, which was this one here. So I had them up here, something like that anyway. And it just didn't look right at all. So I've taken it all off. I just need to find some different fabrics that I'm going to use to do that. But I wanted to show you, this piece here has got some little holes and stuff in it and some lighter pieces here. So I'm going to probably stick those pieces on the top. But I didn't have the right fabric size to do that in one piece. So I had to get some more fabric out and prepare that piece. All the rest of it is like this. You can see that's slightly lighter. What I did was I put the Bonder web on the wrong side of the fabric. So the Bonder web is on the colour that I actually want to show. And so I had to stick it in upside down. So that's the back of the fabric. I just took some Inktense pencils and scribbled on it a little bit to darken it down. Also, the shadows here did actually have a green tinge to it. So I tried to find some green fabric, but it didn't look quite right. So I took myself the same colour grey fabric, and then I just drew on some subtle shading with the Inktense pencils. As you can see, when I've done it, I've kind of used my finger to smudge it all in, and you can see, get myself in a bit of a state. I just thought I'd just share with you the silliness that I've done here, but I haven't got any more of this fabric. I'll show you these bits down here. So that's the piece that's back to front. That was the only piece really that I'd got, and I needed it to go elsewhere, so it wasn't big enough. So that is really it, apart from some smaller pieces. So I couldn't redo all that piece again, unfortunately. So we got round it by using the Inktense pencils. So here we have the collage finished now. The light source is coming from this side, and hence you can see a shadow forming across the table here. And because the light is coming from this way, this is how come we've got all the shadows where they are showing on here. So I used two different colours for the table. This is the actual colour of the table down here, and then this is just denoting the shadow that's coming in from the light source this way. And in order to make it look like a painted table and that it was slabs of wood screwed together, I've just made suggestions of the lines where each piece of the wood comes across. And then I just use a few Inktense pencils just to put in some other odd details, like just little nicks that you would find in the table anyway, or where a screw is, etc. The curtain along the back, which is kind of like a linen curtain, nice and light in weight and light diffusing. So I used two pieces of fabric for that. I use this piece of fabric here, which denotes the fabric in one layer. And then this is practically the same, but just a slightly darker one. And so I've used that in a few places just to denote where the fabric has a few folds in it. So I'm pretty happy with that actually. And I think that I'm really looking forward to getting some thread painting done on it. Not quite sure how I'm going to thread paint it yet. Hopefully as naturally as possible, so that I can bring out and enhance the features of the flowers and just bring it to life and give it a little bit more texture than it has at the moment. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to peel it off of its parchment paper, and I'm then going to stick it onto just some plain white sheeting. The reason I'm going to do this is because I've been stung before. I had a collage very similar and all the background was done on it, and I peeled it off and I stuck it straight to the batting. The trouble with that was when I came to thread paint it, the thickness of it was actually moving the collage a little bit, and it started to separate a few of the pieces. Well, obviously I don't want that to happen again, so I think I'm going to put the plain fabric on the back as a bit of stabiliser. I mean, I'm guessing I could use any sort of sewing stabiliser, and then I'm going to put my backing on. Usually my quilts, my work of arts, whatever you want to call them, tend to either be stretched over canvas or go in a frame. So I'm not going to put the back piece of fabric on. So ordinarily you'd have the front piece, you'd have batting, and then you would have the back piece of fabric. So that's 3 layers. I still will have 3 layers, but mine will be the collage the donor backing fabric and then the batting or the wadding. So that's still 3 layers. I think you need to have a certain amount of layers just to define the stitches as you finish off your collage. So let's have a little go at peeling off the finished collage. Start at the corner. And in theory, because we've attached all these pieces together, it should all come off in one piece. So I'm just going to gently put my hand under here. Now I can see here that we've got a bit of movement. So before I do any more to that, I'm going to put some more heat on it. And I'm going to let that cool down. So whilst that is cooling down, I will come over this side. You can see I'm not being really gentle with it. Come back over this side now. So hopefully that will be cooler now. We've still got a few problems there. The easiest way to avoid this is to go over it again slowly and make sure that it's all stuck. But usually most of it is stuck, so I can just sort out any problems before they get too bad. That bit's still warm. There we go. There's the back of it. Doesn't look so pretty, does it, from the back? So now I will place onto some plain fabric and steam it all down, and so that it's ready for the next stage of the batting and the thread painting. So you can see now that I've steamed my collage onto its backing donor fabric, which is just plain white sheeting. And underneath we have the batting also attached via pins, ready to thread paint. I'm not sure whether I'm going to thread paint it straight away. I think it might be part of a larger project. So for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I hope you've enjoyed my videos. If you have, it would be great if you could like, subscribe and maybe comment as well. That would be absolutely great. It would be quite helpful. So thank you for spending time with me. It's been great spending time with you. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.